Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, as an activist movement, as a grassroots movement, or a cultural movement, you're dependent on growth. You know, the whole thing is that you're trying to create this culture that people really want to subscribe to. They want to be a part of the trend, be a part of the group, be a part of the, let's call it, in crowd. And so you're essentially dependent on growth, at least if you plan on achieving anything. And well, that's where things are getting a little bit tough for the left here, and their little activist movements, let's call it the Antifa types and the BLM types. As time goes by, instead of growing, instead of getting people onto their side, it seems the exact opposite is happening, and people are just ditching them like never before. In other words, the tide is turning fast, and people just seem to be done with these Antifa weirdos. You know, we're seeing it more and more with these clips, regular citizens, just working class regular people, totally snapping, even in places like Portland, and just going after these Antifa people for their ridiculous antics. And now, well, we've got another one of those moments. A woman living near an Antifa anti-ICE encampment in Portland has finally had enough, and so she storms down to the streets and unleashes her pure rage on the agitators who set up camp outside of her home. And honestly, I think this woman speaks for millions. The American people are finished tolerating this far leftist activist crap that obviously accomplishes nothing except for being a public nuisance. Let's go ahead and talk about this left-wing nuisance phenomenon, shall we? We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright guys, so here's the video in question. The context basically laid out in the intro. Take a look.
Oh my God. Turn that down! It's midnight! I will turn it down. I would love to. You just have to ask me, and I'm being nice even though you're screaming at me. You! Okay. I'm coming back every night! I'm destroying and wrecking your Turn it down! We the people need sleep! I've been out 2 days straight. You're worse! Dogs, baby! You heard what I said!
Talking to us calmly would be a hell of a lot.
Yourself!
Yourself!
Colonialize your
Go f yourself, bro. I don't give a Stick that cane up your ass.
Make it! Come on! I'm ready to go!
The first domino falls. You know what happens?
Yeah!
You know what happens when the first domino falls?
Yeah!
Don't get
Turn it out! I'm telling you to shut the up! I'm sleeping!
Hey guys, let's
Think you are!
let another neighbor talk.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because these Antifa lunatics, they love to describe what they're doing as, oh, we're taking on the man and disrupting the man's system. But are they really? I mean, what did they accomplish outside that ICE facility in Portland, Oregon, other than looking like complete fools? The moment they showed up, the whole facility got boarded up. A couple of them started throwing rocks and other items and swiftly got arrested. The entire internet was laughing at them because they were just kind of whining and complaining outside the gate. And now we learn, what is it, like a week and a half later, that a couple of them are still there? These people are accomplishing nothing. They're not taking down the system. They're just harassing normal people who are trying to sleep. They're keeping families up at night, screaming through a damn megaphone, or blocking roads, or vandalizing neighborhoods, all in this cringe performative act of fighting fascism. Except there's only one problem with this equation. There's one key component missing. You probably know exactly where I'm going with this. What component is missing? The whole fascism thing. We're fighting fascism. You know, if you're fighting fascism, there better be fascism, right? Otherwise, you're just a bunch of doofuses embarrassing yourselves. You know, it's obvious they invented an enemy that doesn't exist just so they could keep continuing to cosplay this revolution. It's just chaos for chaos' sake. A bunch of unemployed, emotionally unstable adult children who spend every night suffering from this new phenomenon that people keep talking about, main character syndrome. They think they're the main character, real frickin' Bravehearts fighting for a just cause. But of course, these people aren't fighting oppression, they are the oppression. They're the ones causing it. And this pissed off woman coming to the streets and yelling at them, I think that's real America. That's the majority, the silent majority. People are sick of the BS. They want peace. They want quiet. And actually, you know what's funny about this clip? It's kind of like a visual representation of a phenomenon that we've been covering lately. We've seen all over social media all these left-wing activist types constantly crying about how Black Americans aren't joining them in their anti-ICE protest. Well, I wonder why that is. Maybe it has something to do with harassing Black Americans in their own neighborhoods. I mean, no wonder Black people aren't jumping on the bandwagon. This whole anti-ICE movement is not only annoying and bothering them, but they're basically advocating for the continuation of this illegal migration crisis that has mostly negatively impacted Black people. I mean, that's just the reality. The majority of the Black population lives in inner city communities, working class communities inside the cities. And well, where are Democrats putting all the illegal migrants that are invading the country through these migrant caravans? Straight into those inner city Black communities. In other words, their schools, their neighborhoods, their community centers, their programs are the ones getting hit the hardest. And now you got these privileged white latte liberals coming into their neighborhoods, keeping them awake at night, advocating for more of this, more of the same destructive policies that continue to hurt their neighborhoods. I mean, come on. The flood of low-wage labor crushes job opportunities and wages. When you have a worker-supply imbalance, meaning there's more people in the job market all vying for the same working-class jobs, well, you get something called downward pressure on wages. You get less job opportunity and crappier salaries. And to use leftist terminology, this has disproportionately affected communities of color. So no, Black Americans aren't interested in helping you break more windows and scream at ICE officers. They got actual lives and jobs to get to. And some of them got real struggles, not this fake wannabe revolutionary Antifa stuff. And you know what? Ultimately, I think what's happening is that people are waking up. I've called this nuisance activism for a very long time, and that's exactly what it is, standing outside with a freaking megaphone at 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, I think the left is slowly learning that nuisance activism doesn't win hearts. It just pisses people off. Waving signs and chanting at 3 o'clock in the morning in residential areas isn't building the world's biggest grassroots movement as we fight fascism. Blocking roads, screaming at cops, pretending every deportation is a human rights crisis. It's cringe, it's fake, and frankly, I think it's finished. We've got a bunch of poorly adjusted adult children throwing useless tantrums in the streets. And like all tantrums, eventually it burns out when nobody is paying attention anymore. And clearly Antifa and BLM are starting to lose momentum here. The grift is drying up, and eventually all that's going to be left is just a few weirdos in the streets engaging in some very cringe and humiliating behavior. Oh well, wait, I guess we're already there now, aren't we? They've alienated so many people that this year's Summer of Love 2.0 really is just looking like a sad mess. But I guess that's what happens when all the US aid funds dry up, huh? But anyways, for all these nuisance activists, I think the American people, mostly across the board, have a very clear message. And that message is, get off the streets and get a damn job. Nobody cares about the incoherent nonsense that you're yelling into the microphone at 2 o'clock in the morning. People gotta wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to be actual contributing members of society. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.